Good morning, 2nd of February. Beautiful morning, following quite a bit of snow over the last sort of 48 hours, so it's pretty white out there. But the greenhouse is pretty warm. It's as you can see, didn't drop below 13.4 last night, and it's quite warm in here at the moment. Anyway, the purpose of this video was really more about to show you what I'm using, and as promised, I did tell you I'd be telling you what I mix into my soil as my final mix. So if anybody wants to follow this, they're quite welcome. Nice to share and hopefully promote more growers. So anyway, just 30 seconds on the plants. I've got some that are further behind in air pots and some that are very well advanced in the back. They are now more or less there's 18 litre pots and 12 litre pots, and they're more or less filled now with roots. So the plan today is to pot probably about 8 of them into their final pots. Room's a problem as normal. The plants are pretty healthy, apart from I have had a few issues with 3 or 4 pips over the last month where I've lost 3 due to rotting at the bottom. Don't know why, maybe it's me, I haven't paid attention. Too much water around the base, I don't know, but anyway, the plants remaining are fairly healthy and in a good position. So anyway, back to the soil mix. So like I said, today there's going to be 8 to 10 plants potted on. Probably take me most of the day, so I'm going to crack on, but I'll show you the ingredients that I'm using. Okay, so first of all, I'm using a general multi-purpose compost and Johnny Inn's number 3 as the base, with some organic compost as well in that mix. And with that, there's also some worm cast, which you can't see, it's in the bag tied up. Then, okay, additives, and also some perlite, which is there. I should be adding some of that in just to open up the structure of the compost, lets the roots breathe, and it also retains water. They'll be going into 50 litre air pots, some of them, and some into 45 litre. These tubs here are just for me to mix the soil. So additives, what do I use? It looks like a chemistry lab here, but it's not. It's quite straightforward. So I'll just go into what I'm going to add. To start with, I'm adding some slow release NPK, which is basically, I think, about 50 grams, basically half a handful. And starting from the right, I've got some Nutrimate, which is, how can I explain it? It's full of nitrogen, basically. Full of nitrogen, and I think it's equivalent to a 10 kilo tub is equivalent to, don't quote me, about 20 tons of horse manure, so it's quite heavy stuff. I've also got some rock dust, which is basically full of trace elements and minerals, which is quite beneficial to onions. They do like it, and you can't really overdose with this. A handful again. Then on to the next one, some bloodfish and bone. That's a good general purpose feed for plants. And then also some carbon gold, which I use. Again, a handful of that into into about a 35-40 litre mix. Then moving on a bit more, I've got some dolomite lime, magnesium dolomite lime. Onions do like a bit of magnesium lime. And then I've got some potash, which I put in as well. It's granulated, so it'll break down in the soil. Then some calcified seaweed, and also I'll be putting in a bit more NPK of some Osmocote pre-plant general purpose nutrients, a feed. So, and also, as a lot of people know, there's some charge, a handful of that into 35 litres. I think I'm not an expert, I think it's beetle poo basically. It's quite expensive, but it seems to work. Yeah. So that's what I use in my mixes. I haven't told you amounts. There's no real formula there's no real formula to the amounts. A lot of people use different amounts. I think I don't like to quote amounts because people have got different ideas on what they want to mix. So it's trial and error, I suppose. But that's basically what I'm using. The only difference from last year and this year is, what is the difference? The Carbon Gold. I'm using a bit more Carbon Gold than last year. The Osmocote, I never used that last year. I used Miracle Grow, but I think that's about it. Composts are a little about the same, although I am going to trial some with a mixture of Johnny Inn's number 2, number 3, and some different general purpose compost. That mix should give the plants a good 6 to 8 weeks of nutrients, and then it'll be artificial. Sorry, I say artificial. I'll be putting in my own NPK and minerals, compost tea, various bits and pieces through the season, which I'll talk about. So that's it. Like I said, just a quick video on the onions and the potting on bit. Thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you soon.